Ethan, a 23-year-old man, had just moved into an old house on the outskirts of a quiet village. The house had been abandoned for years, after its previous owner, Mr. Malcolm, passed away suddenly. The villagers whispered rumors about the place, but Ethan, being a practical man, dismissed them as mere superstitions. He just wanted a fresh start in a peaceful place. That first night, as he lay in bed, a strange chill filled the air. The old wooden walls creaked, and the wind outside howled like a whispering voice. He turned on his side, pulling the blanket closer. The silence in the house felt unnatural, heavy, as if something unseen was watching him from the shadows. He shook off the unsettling feeling, blaming exhaustion for his nerves. But deep inside, he couldn't shake the thought that he was not alone. Strange occurrences began happening around the house. Doors creaked open by themselves. Objects moved from where he last placed them, and cold gusts of wind would rush past him despite the windows being shut. Each night, the whispers grew, louder, yet he could never make out what they were saying. Then one night, Ethan woke up with a start. A freezing sensation crawled down his spine, and he felt an unnatural presence in the room. His breath came out in short, shallow gasps. Slowly, he turned his head. In the dark corner of his room, he saw it, a pale, hollow-eyed figure of an old man, standing silently, watching him. A scream tore from Ethan's throat as he stumbled backward, knocking over the lamp beside his bed. Heart pounding wildly, he scrambled to the door and flung it open, rushing into the hallway. The house was deathly quiet again, but he knew what he had seen, and he knew that, whatever it was real. The more Ethan tried to ignore the disturbances, the worse they became. He began noticing messages appearing around the house. One night, after taking a hot shower, he wiped the foggy mirror, only to see the words, "Help me. Zrenia выгравировано на стекле." His stomach twisted in fear, and he staggered backward, his mind racing. The next day, as he prepared to leave the house, something stopped him. The front door, which had been slightly open, slammed shut violently. A bone-chilling voice whispered in his ear, sending a shiver down his spine.
"Ethan, help me. I am Malcolm."
His blood ran cold. The ghost had spoken to him, terrified yet unable to ignore the desperate pleas. Ethan finally worked up the courage to communicate with the spirit. One night, he sat in the dimly lit living room and whispered,
"What do you want?"
The ghost of Mr. Malcolm materialized before him, an old man with deep wrinkles, dressed in a simple white shirt and dark trousers. His transparent figure wavered slightly as if struggling to stay in this world. His hollow eyes were not filled with malice, but sorrow. Through flickering whispers, Malcolm revealed his tragic past. He had been a man with good intentions, but his actions were often misunderstood. He made difficult choices that the villagers resented, causing them to view him as selfish and unkind. In truth, everything he had done was to protect the village, though no one ever realized it. Before he could clear his name and ask for forgiveness, he had died suddenly of a heart attack, leaving behind nothing but bitterness and hatred in the hearts of the villagers. Now his restless spirit sought one last chance to apologize, to make them see the truth before he faded away forever. Ethan, though hesitant, agreed to help. He started visiting the people who had once despised Malcolm, his former business partners, neighbors who held grudges against him, and an old friend who never forgave him for a past misunderstanding. However, every attempt was met with resistance. Some refused to listen, still bitter about the past. Others became angry at the mere mention of Malcolm's name. Ethan soon realized that Malcolm's reputation had been deeply stained, and undoing years of resentment would not be easy. To make things worse, as he continued his mission, the supernatural disturbances grew stronger. Shadows moved unnaturally in the corners of his vision, and strange figures with glowing red eyes appeared in the house at night. It was as if something, perhaps another presence, did not want him to succeed. Despite the obstacles, Ethan persevered. Slowly, one by one, he managed to gather the villagers and convince them to listen. Under the dim glow of lanterns, he told them Malcolm's side of the story. He spoke about the old man's real intentions, his regrets, and his desperate wish for forgiveness. A heavy silence filled the air as realization dawned upon them. The villagers began to weep, their anger dissolving into regret. They had hated a man who only wanted to help them. They had judged him unfairly, never giving him a chance to explain himself. At that moment, a bright, warm light filled the space around them. Malcolm's spirit appeared. His once sorrowful expression now softened into a peaceful smile. As the villagers cried and whispered apologies, his translucent figure began to glow with golden light. Ethan watched in silence as Malcolm's spirit slowly faded, his soul finally free from the burden of regret. A soft breeze swept through the village, carrying with it a sense of peace. For the first time in decades, the house on the outskirts of the village was truly empty. And for the first time in decades, Mr. Malcolm had found his peace.